Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to anyone and everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to the personal development training and personal development and training. Today is February the 7th, 2023, and we have a wonderful special guest today, Savy Vargas. Or I suggest everybody, please get your pencils, get your pens, get your papers. There is going to be a lot of notes to be taken today. Our topic today is what can we supply our body with to really make these patches pop? We just got through talking about popping to make our patches pop in our body, really make them work even more. Because I know that I've come across a couple people saying, yeah, I've got better sleep, my skin is better, but just not hitting all those other markers. So what can I do? What's going on in my body? How can I improve that? So let me introduce Savy Vargas. Savy, you want to say hey?
Well, happy day to everybody. Good to see you. Always happy to be here with you, Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, Savy, you're in where are you located? Utah?
Idaho.
Idaho. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of the
You
places I
say
was looking.
Boise, Idaho, just outside of that.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm just gonna sit back and be quiet and let you take the show, love.
Yeah. See battery.
So yeah, why don't you kind of interview me a little bit with questions,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
we'll kind of take it from there, because you were talking about some people say the patches don't work.
Yeah. Why don't we start off first talking about, because I know even David Schmidt has mentioned a few things that are kind of real important to make sure that we're doing when being on the patches for the first time or period altogether. Why don't we hit that topic first?
Well, there's so many there's so many variables with your health, right? So if I wanted to pick a starting point, what I say to people is I liken the patches to contractors. So when I say patches, I mean the X39 mainly is the one I'm talking about. So when I'm talking about stem cells. So if we're going to talk about the X39 stem cell activation patch, I liken the stem cells to contractors, okay? And I think people can understand that. And so we wear them during the day, take it off at night. That's the 12 hours. So during the day, my contractors are going to job sites. So they're headed to job sites because stem cells are attracted to inflammation. So as they go to the job sites during the day, and then you go to bed at night and you restore and repair, regenerate tissue, right? Well, the contractors are great, but you still have to have tools and materials for the contractors, right? So what would those be? And this is where the diet is still going to be king. So the diet is always king. And you even hear David say that. David always talks about hydration. And sometimes he'll talk about minerals, like he talks about copper, of course, because the patch elevates GHK copper peptides. But then if you're going to have copper, then you got to have zinc, because if you have too much copper, it drains the zinc, right? And so there's these variables in there. So it's never going to be just, I put the patch on and my lupus goes away in 30 days. That's not going to be, that's not reality there. So our contractors are going to need some help. They need tools and they need materials. So that's kind of a starting point that I hit people with.
Yeah, beautiful. So I love it. Yes, water. A lot of people don't understand. Now I know, but so the water amount I generally state is whatever your body weight is, divide it by 2, whatever that answer is. That's the low mark in ounces. But I always say add another 20 ounces to that, because we are being bombarded with more radiation these days. What's your thoughts on that, Savy?
So here I live in the city, right? And it's interesting about water because I've been studying water as the 4th phase of water I've been studying for the last 2 years. So I've really been into the study of water. And I think we're going to find as we go forward that it's going to be about the water, the quality of the water, and is it structured water in your cells, okay? Because water exists really in 4 phases. So you have the liquid phase, the gas, the ice, but then there's a 4th phase, which is a gel, like Jell-O. And the gel phase is the one that's really structured, and it's highly electrical. So here in the city, I'm stuck with city water where you can't drink the city water. So the tap water, the expression is tap is crap. So you just don't drink the tap water. It has to be filtered. So here I have an RO system, reverse osmosis system, 5 filters, but you'll hear people say that it's dead water. Well, the deal is that, especially with the patches, if we talk about light in the body, as humans emit light, and that's how our patches work, maybe a lot of people don't understand that humans actually glow. So you've seen glow worms, you've seen fireflies, you've seen creatures in the ocean that emit light. Well, humans emit light, and but it's invisible to our spectrum unless you have the goggles. So if you have on your infrared goggles, you can now see it. Well, you have to ask the question, what turns the light on? So when you come home at night, you turn the lights on in the house. What did that? Well, electricity, right? So the same with humans. We have to have electricity / electrolytes, minerals, to turn the light on, right? And so here I've got reverse osmosis water, what's considered dead. Well, technically water is H2O water is an emulsifier, and it's like a carrier. So our blood, as an example, is like 98% water, right? And so when we start taking organs and the water content of organs, you see they're very, very high. Like the brain is very high, like 90%, et cetera. We are a watery organism. We're mostly water. But what kind? Well, the RO is dead, so I have to add minerals to the water. And that's what I do here. Now, if you listen to a guy like David Wolf, who's a raw foodie guy out there in the world, his favorite is going to be mountain spring water. If you can find a spring, he's going to go to that. And there's a findaspring.com website where you can try to find a spring near you, and you go and you get that spring water, right? Then there's other guys that think that has too many inorganic minerals in it, and we need organic minerals, right? So really, the best water to get structured water that's actually distilled water, which there's plenty of people like Paul Bragg, if you remember Paul Bragg from Bragg's apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
And then his daughter, Patricia Bragg, those guys, it was only distilled water for them. That's all they drank. Okay. And I'm currently in the advanced medicine conference with all these big hitters like Del Bigtree and Ed Group and Sherry Tenpenny and all these big superhero healers out there in the world. Most of them also want to go with distilled water, but it's dead water too, dead. They consider dead. Well, the structured water that's in the 4th phase that we talked about, which is the gel form, which is highly, highly electrical, which is what is found inside the plasma of the cell, is the 4th phase, highly electrical, is going to be found in food. Grapes, berries, melons, apples, celery, red pepper, green pepper, all the watery foods have structured water already.
I didn't even think about that. That's a duh. Yeah.
You would think it's a duh, but nobody ever thinks about it.
Yeah, I never thought about it myself.
So, and that is an H2O, that's H3O2. So imagine, we're doing our water like you mentioned, half your body weight in ounces, and you're adding minerals to it like sea salt, or you could get liquid plant-derived minerals, which I could show you a couple examples. Am I able to share screen?
Let me make that so you can. There you go.
Okay, we're good.
Yep.
Okay, let me show you a couple examples. All right. So this particular supplement is an ionic mineral supplement, meaning that the minerals are already diffused into the water. And this particular product is from Dr. Carolyn Dean, and it's liquid and it's ionic and it's picometered, meaning it's so tiny that boom, the absorption is super high. So two things, it's in liquid and it's picometer. And this is going to be about 11 major minerals, okay? Especially magnesium, which just about everybody is majorly low in magnesium, which leads to muscle cramps, anxiety, I can't sleep, et cetera, et cetera. And magnesium is a water-thirsty mineral, and that you can't really drag the water into the cell without the magnesium, okay? And in today's world, kind of like with the omegas, way too many omega-6, not enough 3. It's the same with calcium, magnesium, way too much calcium, not enough magnesium. So even though I would prefer to have all the minerals together, like upwards of 73 of them all together as a team, it's okay maybe for a while to load with extra magnesium for a while, because it kind of leads to this restless leg problem, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one, which is Dr. Carolyn Dean, and she's kind of the magnesium queen. You've heard of her.
So this specific one is kind of a compilation of minerals. This one is.
It's around 11. Okay, so
Okay.
of the major minerals, because here's the problem, Wendy. Really, since about 1913-ish, they've really ruined the soils in our country. So our soils are like mineral depleted really bad.
Right. Right.
So even if we're eating organic foods like I do, or I try to do 90%, it doesn't mean that my organic food is mineralized though. Because for example, pumpkin seeds should contain zinc, but plants cannot manufacture minerals. So if the zinc wasn't in the soil, hence it's not in the pumpkin either.
Got it.
So plants can manufacture vitamins and enzymes, but not minerals. And our soils are depleted. So if it's up to me and somebody's telling me the patch doesn't work, I'm going to say, no, the patch definitely works. If you're a human from planet Earth, the patch works, but your diet might not work. So we're going to have to help our contractors out here with tools and materials. That's really the problem, okay? And then you're going to find that not only do they work, but a lot of other things are going to work out too, because now the minerals are going to go to work on their own, along with assisting the patch to work better. See, now here's another one. This particular one right here, humic and fulvic.
Yeah.
This is another liquid plant-derived mineral product. Now this one will have about 73 minerals.
Okay.
So this will have them all. So now we get all of our trace minerals too, like the copper. So as we know, the patch elevates GHK, right? And
Right.
so GHK are 1, 2, 3 amino acids, tripeptide, right? And so 1, 2, 3 aminos, which are attracted to copper, trace mineral, then we get GHK copper peptides. So
Right.
now we have our minerals covered by adding minerals to our water. So now we're going to get hydrated. And if we go to the live foods that are watery foods, we're going to get structured water as well. So now we have the water you talked about. We're going to mineralize that. Then we're going to get structured water in watery foods. Now we got to make sure we're getting all of our aminos.
Yeah.
Because out of GHK, the K is lysine. Well, lysine is essential, meaning the body can't make it.
Right.
So you have to get it from the diet, and it's mostly found in animal products. What if you're a vegan? Now what are we going to do?
Yeah. Put a pen in that for a second. So I know, but someone is asking, can you get in essence too much of, too many minerals? Will your body expel what it's not using? Is there a danger of getting too much of?
There's a danger of getting too many inorganic minerals. For example, if you're getting your minerals from a rock base, coral base, anything except a plant, yes, you don't want any. First of all, you don't want any of them, let alone too many. But if you're getting them from plant derived, you can't really get too many because you're burning them up. For example, let's take magnesium as an example. Would you say that people are living in a stressful environment today?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So everybody is loaded down with stress. When you're stressed out, you will blow through not only your vitamins, but you're going to blow through your minerals too, especially that magnesium. You're going to just burn it up. Like your B vitamins are water soluble, your vitamin C, you're going to just blow through them. So you're really, not in today's world, you're not going to get too much. And the body, in its innate brilliance and intelligence, God-given innate brilliance, it knows what to do, right? Even if you urinated it out and they said, oh, that's expensive urine. Well, it's better than $7,000 to $11,000 a day in the ICU.
Point.
So if you think that supplementing your health is an expense, it is not. It is an investment.
Yeah.
And it is a pay now or it is a pay later. Nobody gets away on that. Nobody gets away. So you want to pay now with the best food ever, the best water ever, supplementation that's very good, keeping in mind that this one is in glass. I prefer it to be in glass if possible. Now, let me show you this product in talking about amino acids. So how many aminos are there?
Oh gosh, you've got me in the spotlight. I have no idea, honestly.
Somebody type it in the chat. How many aminos are there? Anybody know? Anybody
11, 12.
20 to 22, depending on who you talk to. So let's just go with 20.
Yeah.
And how many proteins can the body build from 20 to 22 aminos? How many proteins? How about over 100,000?
Oh, cow.
Building them into like Legos, different configurations for different proteins, right? So we've got all kinds of proteins in the body. What's the number one protein in the whole body? Collagen. What does GHK elevate? Collagen. Correct? The glue. Yep. The glue that holds you together. All the tissues are built from some kind of collagen, gut tissue, lung tissue, everything, right? So if I want to make sure that my people are getting the most out of their patch, I need water, I need minerals, and I need amino acids. Otherwise, how can I build GHK? How can I build AHK with the 49 patch? How can I build glutathione? It's built from 3 aminos. You can't. You can't. And so this particular product is plant-based aminos. So now I got my vegans covered too. Okay?
Beautiful.
So you just add it to the smoothie, done. All right, that's what I wanted to share on the screen. And then what you talked about earlier, who in our group knows who Dr. Court is? You ever heard of Dr. Court?
No.
So Dr. Court was interviewed by Onyx Cole and Kathy Rodriguez early on at my time at LifeWave, which I'm about 34 and a half months old. Early, Dr. Court was interviewed, and he is called the EMF doctor. Dr. Court is an expert on EMF, and he's in with the patches with us. Way before there was a 49 patch, which the 49 we know builds kind of a Faraday cage to protect us from radiation pollution. Now, do we have a lot of that? Let's see. Can we name any? Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, laptop, desktop, cell phones, microwave ovens, power lines, the television, 3G, 4G, 5G. We're swimming in it. Will that mess with our patches and the water in our body? All day long. It's like you're sort of being microwaved, slightly boiling all day.
So Savy, I want to go and put a little pen in that and come back to this for a second. So Jenny, yes, our patches are working regardless. They're always working. It's just Jenny said, so our patch is not working unless we buy minerals. Have this particular talk is how can you fortify the body to really make the most out of the patches? The patches, yes, are always working. Correct, Savy?
they're always working, but it's kind of like, I like to liken it like this. So I heard Dr. Stacy say, maybe we emit light to say 6 to 8 inches. Okay. Now, what if Wendy's light emits to 8 inches, but mine is only at 4? Why is she brighter than me? And I think this is a true scientific possibility that one person is brighter than the other. And it can be based on energy too, because when a person is low energy, maybe they're not shining as bright, correct? Because as you'll hear David say, you cannot heal anything without enough energy. And the ATP is built in the cell, and it needs electricity and oxygen to do that. Okay, so let me give you a little chemistry for a second. Let's talk about oxygen, red blood cells, hemoglobin. Okay, all right. So let me go, I'm going to go backwards. So here we've got red blood cells coming out of bone marrow. Okay, now I'm going to go to testosterone. Testosterone isn't just for bigger muscles, deeper voice, and thicker hair. Testosterone puts pressure on the bone marrow to release red blood cells. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
All right, so you got testosterone. Well, what is that made from? DHEA. Okay, what is that made from? That is made from vitamin D3.
Yeah.
How do we get D3? Sunlight. That could be why you're low on oxygen and energy. D3, right? Well, if we're being bombarded by this type of radiation all day long, shouldn't we think about protecting ourselves via Dr. Court has every single thing that Defender Shield here makes?
Absolutely.
He's got the earbuds, he's got the wraps on the phone, he's got the stuff. I mean, he's got it all. And so I just spent $265 ordering all kinds of stuff from Defender Shield, and yet also another company too, because I'm kind of a biohacker, right? I hedge my bets and I'm trying these minerals, then I try those minerals, and then I try this company and that company, and it's experiment of one on me, right? But if they're going to take me out, they're going to have to work for it, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying everything. And so to answer her question, the patches always work, but maybe this much when they should be working this much. See what I'm saying? Look, if we're going to spend our money, even though it's the best deal ever at $3.33 a day for the most expensive patch, the others are like $2.64 a day. If we're going to spend our money, why wouldn't I spend another $40 a month for my aminos and another $40 a month for my minerals? Who cares? Yeah. Again, how much better is that than $7,000 to $11,000 a day in the ICU? So it's a matter of perspective, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, just as a side point, I wanted to mention the product colloidal silver.
Yeah.
Colloidal silver. All right.
That was
A lot of people don't know, and this particular lady, let me go back to it. Where's she at? Right here. This lady here has a picometered silver product. And you take about 1 teaspoon in 4 ounces of water, maybe twice a week is about all you need. Now, silver does a lot of things. I mean, it's like nature's antibiotic. It's an antifungal. It reduces viral loads. But one thing that it does that nobody ever talks about is it activates the bone marrow's ability to put out more stem cells. So I just wanted to mention that to where we could biohack stem cell activation via the bone marrow as well as the patch as well, just as an extra incentive to try to boost stem cell activity even more. And it reminds me of David Schmidt a while back, said somebody came up to him at a conference one time, because David talks about everything I'm talking about. Talks about all this
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody came up to him and said, hey man, I don't think you should talk about these other products because you're going to lower the sales of our patches. And David says, well, you really just don't understand what we're all about here then, do you? Because we're not about trying to sell everybody stuff. We're about all things health. All things health. And that's why when somebody says the patches don't work, you're like, no, pause. Yes, they do. What might not work, brother, is your diet. Your diet. Because look at what they've done to the food and the water. We have 144,000 and counting man-made chemicals that we're swimming in. Hence, glutathione patch. If you wear that thing 5 days versus 7 days, you remember what David said, Wendy, about the difference between 5 days and 7 days with glutathione patch?
I think I missed that. Please enlighten me.
So you wear it 5 days in a row, right? And it's doing
Right.
it's building cumulatively, right? But between day 5 and 7, it doubles in effectiveness. So some people are like, man, I only wear glutathione like 3 days. You know what I mean? Well, if you were at 7, it doubled. But here's the caution with glutathione patch. It's 300% elevation. Your liver and your cells could be dumping so many toxins into your blood that the river of life, just became the river of garbage. Hence, you have to use binders. And why do we use binders? To capture that stuff and take it out through the urine and the bowels. Binders, like activated charcoal, right? So again, imagine somebody used the glutathione patch and said, these things make me sick. Not only do they not work, they make me sick. And you're like, no. You made you sick because your body is full of toxins from the environment and the things we eat. Some people dig their own grave with their fork. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variables here, but the two main takeaways, you have to have structured water, mineralized water, and amino acids are the foundation for the contractors to do their job. Right? And then if we get into anti-inflammatory strategies, we're going to help even more, like Eon patch, taking the pressure off the adrenals with way more vitamin C, because the adrenals suck vitamin C up like a sponge. And maybe we use herbs also for the adrenal glands, ashwagandha, rhodiola, stuff like that, right? So again, there's so much that we could go into. Let me take a look here. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention this for people to be in reality. So how long have you been here, Wendy, doing this?
You just cut out. Say it again.
How long have you been here doing this with LifeWave?
Almost 3 years.
So 3 years. How many times have you heard somebody's lupus or rheumatoid going away in 7 days?
More than I can count, which is great.
Which is great, right?
Yeah, which is great, right?
But I can tell you this, the sleep, the energy, soft tissue inflammation, I've heard all of that.
Right.
Especially the energy and the sleep. I've heard all of that.
Right.
But if I was to take a person that had, let's see, what can I come up with? Well, let's just use the C word, not COVID, but the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. The other heavy
prostate,
hitter.
breast,
Right.
lung, melanoma, whatever.
Right.
If somebody has a challenge like that, and I send them to Gerson Institute in Mexico, Sana Viva in Mexico, or Hippocrates in Florida, where they have a staff, a full-time staff working on that, you can count on that being about 18 months to 2 years. So if we're going to be in reality here with everything we're dealing with the toxins that are coming in today, while I'm trying to get out the ones from yesterday.
Right.
So it's kind of a 2 steps, 1 step back, 2 steps, 1 step back, because money comes into play. and time to do it and the discipline to do it and all that stuff, it could be 18 months to 2 years to really dial it in. But that's nothing. Like, do you remember Rose Homburg? She's like 70 some. She had rheumatoid 60 some years. For her to get better, even if it took 2 years, which it didn't, it was like 18 days. But if it took 2 years, that's nothing compared. That's very fast.
Yeah, that is very fast. Even the greatest, I've had my issues in the past, and even going through detoxes and fortifying, those things take time to build up.
It
So
takes
we are,
time.
yeah.
And here's the other thing too, that we should mention, Wendy, is the methylation thing. There's a lot of companies out there now that are doing these DNA testing, like 23andMe and others. They swab you and then they send you your genetic report. Okay, so here's the thing. So even if you did that, and you got your report, and out of 12 genetic SNPs, 6 were red and were kind of a problem. Like say you have a problem, it says you have a problem methylating B12. Well, if you don't methylate B12, there's nervous system issues, energy problems, all that stuff. Well, there's another study called epigenetics that says you can override your genetic problem via supplementation and diet and lifestyle.
Right.
So you can override it.
Yeah, you're turning on the good genes and you're turning off those other genes, such as methylation.
So you're not doomed to your genetics.
Right.
You're like, oh, my dad had diabetes and my granddad had diabetes. Yeah, well, I don't. And my son's not going to have it either, because I stopped that via epigenetics. But what if a person did have a methylation problem? Methylation meaning conversion. So every single thing you eat, everything you eat does not stay in the same form as you ate it. Everything gets converted. So if you did have some kind of methylation conversion problem, that could be a real thing that we would have to work around. Well, Dr. Ben Lynch wrote a book called Dirty Genes. You ever heard of it? Dirty Genes is a whole study about your dirty genes. And he's like, why don't we just clean them all?
Yeah.
Let's just clean them all. And that's really the premise of that book. So, but I'm saying some person maybe who's like, I'm not sure this energy enhancer patch works because I'm not getting any energy. Well, you could say, you could have a problem methylating B vitamins, okay? And you're not getting enough in your food. So we need to add B vitamins, preferably lipospheric wrapped in lipid variety, to your diet. And we need to clean your water out, because we talk about our water in our body. What if your water is dirty?
As most is.
Think of the fishbowl analogy. The fish is swimming around. Nobody ever cleans his water. He's swimming around what? In his own waste products, right? So how do you clean your water? Sweating, infrared sauna, exercise, you sweat it out. And then you're putting in new. Remembering that the body is always rebuilding, regeneration machine. So you can have what? All new red blood cells in 4 months. So if a person drank chlorine dioxide, which is a water purification system every day, and plant-based chlorophyll every single day for 4 months, you just gave yourself a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
You have all new blood. Same with the skin. Everything regenerates based on the quality of what's going in there. And then we got our patches using light that we bypass the GI tract. We don't have to worry about absorption. We just bypass it with light. So again, if we got the raw materials, because the raw materials rule, and then we got the light to work with all that stuff, and we're healing at the speed of light at that point.
So basically, with everybody, with the minerals and with amino acids, we are creating more light. The more light our body emanates, the more we reflect back to create the healing, supporting the body, turning on those stem cells to create that even greater healing. So in the earlier, there's a question here, Savy. Curious about when you hit up prospects with other things that you should do or use with the patches right up front or after they start questioning the effectiveness of the patches. What do you do, Savvy? I don't necessarily say, I just say, here's a patch, just try, get on, see how you react. And, if things kind of don't seem to turn out with the reaction that they are expecting after about 30 days to 60 days, that's when I basically hit them up with, let's look at what else what you're doing in your diet. Are you taking your amino acids? Are you taking your minerals, that sort of thing? What do you normally do with your particular clients that you work with?
You mean right out of the gate up front?
Yeah, right up the gate.
Up front, I'm going to tell you, very simple. The simplest thing you could do up front is say, I want you to add a pinch of sea salt, real sea salt, not Morton's table salt.
How about Himalayan?
Himalayan pink salt. Some people think there's heavy metals in there, but look, here's the thing. A pinch of quality sea salt in your water, because now you're going to be drinking a lot more water. We do the same thing you said about the half body weight in ounces. And you're like, but every time you drink your water, like I'm drinking out of one of these, right? Yes, exactly. Every time I drink one of these, I'm going to add a little pinch of electrolytes, electricity to turn the light on. That's very simple. Everybody can afford that. So I start there. And then if they can afford it, I'd love for them to use those amino acid powder, just in case the diet sucks.
Right. Which most diets do, guys. But this conversation is for those, again, who I want to go a little deeper. How can I really make this work in my favor? How can I make my body better so it's reflecting more of that light, really fortifying my body so the stem cells are getting to work? This is what this conversation is about. It's not necessarily, hey, this is what we're going to jump out the board onto anybody signing up for the patches. No, it's not what we're saying here at all. This is for the people who are already on the patches. Okay.
Let's remember too what David said. David said in one of his talks about cardiovascular improvement, every 6 weeks. Well, no, he said in 6 weeks. I don't know if it's cumulative, but let's just say let's say it's not. So in 6 weeks, the cardiovascular system acted 2 years younger. And cardiovascular disease, #1 killer. Heart disease, #1 killer. So at the very worst case scenario,
sorry, hang on. Go ahead.
So worst case scenario, you got a year older, not wearing patches, or your cardiovascular system got 2 years younger. But I bet you anything, if it got younger in 6 weeks by 2 years, and we're looking at 52 weeks, you could have maybe gotten 6 years younger. I'll have to do some digging on that. So it's kind of like, again, pay now or pay later.
Right. All right. So any other closing before I open up for questions, Savvy?
The only thing in closing is anytime somebody has any kind of health challenge, I don't care what it is, it's a combination of things that cause it, a combination of things. It's rarely just one thing. And it's also a combination of things to get rid of it. It's not just, oh, I put the patch, that's it. I never have to do anything else. So there are other things involved. And the two easiest are the aminos and the minerals.
And Jenny says, salt isn't good for people with CHF. My mom has CHF, so I know this answer, but I'm letting you go to get it. Congestive heart failure.
What would you say, Wendy? Because table salt certainly wouldn't be, and there's way too much sodium, fake salt.
Yeah, and it kills me because my mom literally has CHF. She's in the skilled nursing facility, and they're given those little packets that are good old fashioned table salt. And it's like, are you kidding me? You're killing her.
Yeah,
you're making more water gain there. So again, I'd go back to sea salts. I'd go back to mineral salts, and just say, yeah, you limit it, but you still want those minerals, or you can get the minerals in a different way.
Yeah. So what you have to do there is eliminate all the fake salt in the box foods, the canned foods, like with my mother. So my mom's going to be 80. And I went to, my mom first moved here, I went into her cabinets and I pulled out all of her canned goods. And I said, look at the sodium level here, Mom. So when we talked about omegas and calcium, magnesium, it's the same with salt. So the sodium potassium levels are so flipped because you have the sodium potassium pump in the cell. So the sodium fake salt is out of here. You got to get rid of that. And you up your potassium. Your potassium is supposed to be 4,100 milligrams a day. So you have to flip that. So you get away from the fake salt and you go to the real salt, and then you make sure your kidneys are filtering.
That's important, guys. You know, that we're talking about a general healthy person here.
And we're not making health claims.
Yeah, we're not making any claims. This is again, some research. Now somebody says, now, are these the product, what products? Now, we already saw what products Savy recommended. Now, knowing Savy, he does his due diligence, is finding what is the best company that really pulls in the best quality, that is housed in the best packaging. You know,
Yes.
yeah, can you find cheaper products? Absolutely. But doesn't mean it is a good product. Remember that the vitamin industry is not regulated by anyone or anything. Nothing, guys, not even the FDA. So not to say that that's any good whatsoever, but nevertheless, you really have to really do your research. Now, Savy's kind of already done the research for us. And I understand to some people, it's like, wow, that's really expensive. But actually, it lasts you quite some time. It's not like something that's, you know, it's going to be gone in a week. But it is quality ingredients and quality products.
I saw somebody mention ketone in there just briefly. Ketone's plasma is another, the minerals that I've recommended are plant-based from the earth, but whoever that person was is correct about ketone's plasma is from the sea. And so you could cover your bases by having sea minerals, ketone's plasma, and then Mother Earth Labs as an example.
Sorry, Savy, I accidentally muted you. I apologize.
So ketone's plasma is called that because during World War I and II, if a soldier was bleeding out on the battlefield, they could transfuse him with ketone's plasma, which is seawater, and save his life. So ketone's plasma is another great source of minerals, and it has a lot of magnesium in it too. Very good.
All right. What about alkaline or ionized water, specifically Kangen water? So that's different. That's not structured water, guys. But what's your thoughts there?
Well, what I've
Savvy?
learned about that from Paul Beretta and Thomas Cowan and Gerald Pollack and those guys, the kings of water, those guys, is that Kangen alkaline water, if there was any benefit to it, first of all, their filter sucks. And so if they're going to microcluster the molecules and get more water into the cell by using electrolysis like that, and the filter sucks, and you're also getting way more toxins into the cell too. And so their filter sucks. And the people that I know that had that, and I had one for a while, is they put extra filters under the sink. But if you got really any true benefit from it, it was the extra hydrogen. And so Paul Beretta has hydrogen water machines, and Dr. Mercola, if you know him, he's got hydrogen tablets you can put in the water, and now you get hydrogen water. So it's really the hydrogen that's the true benefit more than the alkalinity is.
That is awesome. Yeah, I know a friend of mine that had a Kangen, and he was told at one point, you don't ever have to replace the filter. He was getting sick and sicker and sicker. He finally got his water tested, and it was what was poisoning him. Only because of water, the filter was so contaminated, guys. Not to say anything negative about Kangen.
No, not at all. It's, you know, you can become alkaline via the hydrogen, actually, too.
Oh, cool. That I did not know. All right. Any other questions pertaining to our subject only? If you want to raise your hand, and you can ask Savy directly. Let's see. I'm just going to go through the questions in the chat. Go and get yourself some water there. Oh, we got a question. Maya, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Savy. Is there a optimal, I know you shared the amino acid from that one company, that formula, but is there like an optimal ratio of the amino acids that we're looking at? Are we looking at the branch chain amino acids? Are we looking at ones specifically with the collagen, or is there like a certain mix that we're looking for?
Yeah, good question about the branch chain aminos. That might be a good one to also add in, by the way. it's interesting about optimal because I used to work with Dr. Wallach, who's the mineral doctor. He's the one that put out Dead Doctors Don't Lie series. And he's an expert in minerals, but he was also a veterinarian. And so he would apply veterinarian strategies to humans. So your question being, if you got a 250-pound, 6'4" man, what is the optimum amount of aminos for him versus a 110-pound, 5'2" woman, right? And he would always have people use his minerals based on weight. So if you said his minerals weren't working, then he would say you're not taking enough per your body weight. And so I would think it would be the same with aminos. So I go by the instructions on the container, and then maybe I also tweak it a bit too. And it's an experiment of one on how you feel, right? And so that's why I kind of hedge my bets with different companies, because I don't really know how much I'm really absorbing with this one versus that one, except based on how I feel. So like lately, I've added more magnesium to my mix and potassium to my mix based on, things that I was thinking about with myself. And so after I load up with my magnesium, maybe I'll go back again to the full structured 73. I mean, I still have those. I've just added more magnesium. So that question is, I think, is one you have to do an experiment of one, but I would base it off of Dr. Wallach's thinking of veterinarian medicine based on weight, size, and age. And let's remember, it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. So everybody's kind of got a messed up gut these days, absorption wise. So in my opinion, I always do like a GI cleanse with people, because I work in the world of detoxification, and everybody I work with, we clean the GI first, because it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. So what if you're taking the right amount and you're not getting it because your gut is messed up? See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Anyone else have a question? Just make sure you just raise your hand. So Savy, I think you and I even actually had a conversation, or maybe it was, I don't remember. So two questions. One, you talked about magnesium. Now there's a whole range of different types of magnesium. And I know the one that you recommended, because I know we've talked about it before. So is there specific, is there specific type of magnesium? I'm sure people want to hear that. And then secondly, can you get too much magnesium? Should you stop after a while, or is it okay to take it every day? I always use my bowel movements as a gauge, but go for it.
Yeah, so you're right. There's like, I don't know, 5, 6 different kinds of magnesium, and all the minerals are kind of like that. And then some of them get wrapped in aminos too. But magnesium oxide is the one that will send you running to the bathroom, right? But this one here with Dr. Dean is a magnesium chloride. And then I heard David mention magnesium glycinate, I believe, or one of those, or gluconate, one of those. Again, that's where I'm hedging my bets again. With me, it's an experiment of one. And I'm finding that the one from Dr. Dean, magnesium chloride, you can drink a ton of that and you do not get a laxative effect. If you ever do reach that laxative effect, then you know you're super loaded. Now, and you just back off a smidge. And that's a fail-safe on that.
Right.
But it's so absorbable that you'll find, since magnesium is a water-thirsty mineral and it pushes the water into the cell, you're going to find that you urinate less, in a sense, and that you're getting more hydrated internally, so it's not just going in and right back out again.
Yeah.
And I talked to this one guy. I'm trying to remember who he is now. He was from Todd Rowan's. I did a thing with Todd Rowan on water, and he called me, or he emailed me, and he had this strange medical condition where all the water he was drinking was going right back out again. and he was constantly dehydrated, causing all these problems. And I think we switched him to a hydrogen. No, we switched him to the mostly structured water because I work with a guy named Eris Latham. Dr. Latham hasn't had a glass of water in 41 years. All his water comes from food, like coconut.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was like, okay,
all,
that makes sense.
All of Dr. Latham's water is from food. He doesn't
Yeah.
even drink water. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because he does a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables.
And it's all structured from the food, H3O2, 3 hydrogen molecules.
Yeah.
So he's super hydrated without drinking water.
That is amazing. That is
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah, because I know that also low potassium levels will prevent absorption into the cell of water as well.
So yeah, there's a case where you can be drinking all this water and you're still dehydrated. And that was the whole premise behind the Kangen machine, because they wanted to microcluster the molecules to get more water into the cell, and then the filter sucks, and now you get more toxins into the cell.
Yeah.
But it's really about the hydrogen part of it. See? And
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
that's the deal.
Okay, Cindy, why don't you unmute yourself?
Thank you. See, I was looking at the website on Amazon. So how about something like this? And just so happens I have it, Savvy. It is a Trader Joe's natural mountain spring water. Have you done any research on that? I love Trader Joe's, but that's
I
personal
haven't,
opinion.
but I do know it's funny because David Wolf and Dr. Group work together. They're actually partners. And David loves spring water like you're drinking, and Group likes distilled water. And so again, you can have 30 healers in a room at a round table and they don't all agree. So the only thing I don't like about that one is if it's in plastic.
Okay, it is. So how about if I poured it in the plastic into a glass?
I just don't know how long it's been in the plastic.
Oh,
See what I mean? I mean, if it's been in there and then if it got heated in the plastic, even if they say it's BPA free, I don't trust it still, because I just don't know about these, petroleum products getting into the water and screwing up the endocrine system. And I just don't trust it. There's a company, and I saw somebody mention Dr. Cowan. Dr. Cowan's work on water, he recommends a particular company that has super oxygenated water, but they're all in glass bottles. And I order those from time to time as an extra special treat. They're not cheap by any means.
of course.
But as we help more and more people with our business of X39 and you cash flow, you can reinvest in the more goodies for your health and other
Well,
people.
So then, and so distilled water, which I had because I had sleep apnea, which I no longer have because I've eaten clean and I'm lost 41 pounds.
Nice.
Could you take that and add Himalayan sea salt, or that's in a plastic jug also?
The distilled?
Yes.
Yeah, so we happen to have here in Idaho, where I'm at, about 15 minutes from here, I have a guy that has a place called the Water Store. And it's dirt cheap. I mean, I can get like a gallon of distilled water in glass for like 50 cents.
Oh, wow.
And so it would be cool if you could find a place like that and stick with the glass, or you buy a distiller. I believe Dr. Kassar out of Hawaii at Earther Academy, I believe he sells really good distillers, and they're not that much. And I will tell you that when Dr. Group did a 21-day water fast, I think it was 21 days, like the first week he drank distilled, the second week he drank hydrogen water, the third week he drank spring water, he mixed it up. And we're going to find, because David's working, as you know, on structured water right now. And in fact, in the Rise and Shine sprays, there's frequency water in that spray as a carrier. So you're going to find that it's going to be all about the water going forward.
Thank you,
man.
thank you, thank you.
Those words right there have been in, I don't know if you guys are on underground news, but that has been the spike. It's all about the water. That's been going on for over a year. It's all about the water. We have so many plastics, guys, that are inside our body and it's really difficult to get them out.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's way that, Savvy, how to detox the plastics out. I've heard of even taking baths with, not Epsom salts, but like boric acid and other things. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
actually real. Yeah.
I
Okay.
just saw that last week on, I haven't studied that yet. That's very interesting now.
Yeah.
When the problems arise, the solutions do too. They're always together.
Point.
We just have to find the
Right.
key to that door. But we have the people out there. We work with a huge group of naturopathic type healers, and it's always found in nature, always. Even graphene oxide, that heavy metal graphene oxide, and all the metals, Dr. Group's supercharged C60 charcoal will pull all the metals out, including that graphene oxide, by the way.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And guys, I just have to say this. If someone that you listen to on the YouTube or anywhere else, and all they do is telling you all the problems that are going on in your body, what you're putting in your body, but they don't give you solutions, you shut that off and you find somewhere else. You listen to Savvy, you follow what, he's been on several YouTube videos recently that have all been loaded up on the Be Activating community. Go there because you hear solutions. Otherwise, it's just fear mongering and it's lowering your vibration. Don't go there. They're just trying to go ahead and create more fear.
Yeah.
Micah, unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Hey, Dr. Vargas, real good to be on another one of your calls. Yeah, so I just want to go over the 3 important things: proper hydration, minerals, and BCAAs, right? Is that
branched chain aminos. I do
Right.
like them. I think that's a good point. In fact, I'm going to look into adding that too, the branched chain. But the ones I was talking about were the 20 to 22 major aminos that build all of our proteins. That's the one I was talking about. That's kind of like, to me, that's like everybody should start there, right there, because I don't think people are getting all the aminos in their diet, mainly based on their absorption rates. But if I can put a powder into a smoothie and it's mostly water, like for example, this morning I did red grapes, I did some Asian pear, and I did some wild Maine blueberries with coconut water. And then I added that same powder I mentioned to you guys, I added in there. And I just drank it. See? And so I think my chance of absorption is way better. And if I did absorb it all, I got all the aminos today, all of them. And so even if my diet went sideways somehow, I still got them all. And I think it's important because it's really kind of a day-to-day thing. And when Wendy was talking about the toxicity, in today's world, it is so toxic out there that it's kind of a detox diet lifestyle we kind of have to have now, or they'll just build up in us, Micah, to where, when you reach a certain level of toxicity, that's when you get what they call the colds and the flus and all of that. That's the body is so loaded up that it's like, okay, it's got to go. And it starts coming out of you now. It'll push it out any way it can.
And you even feel that when you go through detox, guys. I mean, I'm going right now through a parasitical detox.
Yeah.
And I was not, and plus a different detox as well. And I wasn't even thinking about it. And sore throat came up, earache came up, and feeling achy all over. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it probably took me about an hour going, oh, duh, just detoxing. And so I got on my row machine, really sweated it out.
Yeah.
Put a good old glutathione patch, and I feel great.
So think about this, Micah. You have in our body, let's liken it like this. So we have our bloodstream, which is kind of like the kitchen. And then we have the lymphatic system, which is kind of like the sewer. But there's 3 times more lymphatic fluid than blood. And that's important because we need to be removing the toxicity from the environment and what's coming in if we're eating wrong. And you have metabolic waste just burning the engine of the body to make ATP energy. That waste is coming out too. And it dumps over into the lymphatic system, which is like a sewer. But then we have lymph nodes, which are like septic tanks. And their job is to take in this toxicity, which on the pH scale can be pretty hot, like a 3 even. where 7 is neutral and 14 is super alkaline like bleach. Your lymph nodes are like septic tanks with bacteria, and they neutralize the toxicity and increase the pH from a 3 to about a 6. And then it can go out through the kidneys or sweat it out. That's why our kidneys are forgotten sometimes. When we talked about the salt earlier, and people with filling up with fluid like congestive heart failure or edema, the kidneys are filtering right. And so the third kidney, the skin, has to take over. People get all these rashes like eczema and psoriasis, they call it. That's the body in desperation pushing this stuff out to the skin because the kidneys maybe are down. And the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys and they're down. And those are the neurotransmitters and the natural steroids from the adrenals. So, you know, the kidneys are forgotten. Everybody talks about the bowels to take out waste, but the kidneys are there too.
Right, right. One more thing you said about hydrating with fruit. So I had a story about that, and it was just a guess. So I coach a lot of kids all over the world, a lot of kids across Africa who don't have access to a coach like me who's more into holistic, you know, the way of living to get performance. But everyone was getting sick. His whole family got sick, and my guess was it was the water. So
Yeah.
I told him, don't drink any more water. I said, eat 20 pieces of fruit every day and raw vegetables. And he did that. His performance went through the roof, and he broke the age group record in 100 meters a month later doing that.
Wow. See,
Right?
you just described Dr. Micah. Do you know Eris Latham?
No, I just heard what you guys were saying here
Okay, so
about it.
look him up. He's a raw food chef, okay, and he lives in Panama. And that dude starts his day with coconut water, runs a couple of miles on the beach, jumps in the ocean, swims in that, comes back out. By the way, he climbs the coconut tree first. The guy's like 74. He climbs the coconut tree with bare hands and feet, knocks him down, drinks the coconut, runs on the beach, jumps in the water, comes back and makes a big, beautiful bowl of fruit, right? And so people are like, oh, wow, isn't that too much sugar? No, this is a monosaccharide. It's as simple as it can get. It doesn't even have to get broke down. Doesn't even require insulin.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
just amazing.
if I live in Africa, right, like that, and that water's dirty, what you just told him was genius. You just eat the watery food.
Yeah, it's something. Thank you. And that was in 2017. He was 17 years old. And guess what? He's in Texas now on a Division II track scholarship. And I'm looking to meet the kid, and I'm trying to get him in the company. And, you know, LifeWave is something that's big. And I put a lot of professional runners, just send them a few samples only for their event and watch them do some amazing things. So, again, thank you, Doctor. Great call always.
Yeah, pleasure, Micah. And yeah, between that fruit water, vegetable water, and the patch, hey, they're going to be taking home all the medals.
And thank you, Micah, for what you're doing. That is awesome. So Savy, we got a couple here questions, and I don't know if you want to get into this now. If you don't, we can definitely set up another time next month where we can do this. People are asking, what can I do, or where can I get the stuff to take out the graphene oxide?
Yeah,
I know
so
that's a big topic these days.
all right, hold on a minute. Let me just show you. Okay. Let's go to. All right, so you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Okay, now let me just show you this. This is the Advanced Medicine Conference. Like I told you, I'm just
Can't
about.
see your, I can't see your screen, love.
Oh, you can't see it?
No.
Did I not share screen?
I don't know, but you're not here.
All right, hold on. Let's share screen. Can you see it now?
There you go. Yes,
Okay.
it's up.
This is the Advanced Medicine Conference that I'm currently in. Okay, all the big dogs are in this, and Dr. Group is in here too. And this is Dr. Group's website. Okay, now on here, I'm going to go over to, and by the way, just like with David Schmidt, I'm not an affiliate of any of these guys. Okay, Now, maybe I will be in the future because I know what I got here. And I'm just telling you right here, Dr. Group does not play games. His stuff is top notch. And this product right here, okay, you don't have to get this. You can just get C60 charcoal, but I'm just telling you that this one I know takes out graphene oxide.
So not all charcoals are equal then, I take it, Savvy?
They are not. And this one is supercharged C60, as you see right here, 100,000 times more powerful than C60. Each capsule will suck up like 1,000 times its weight in toxins.
Wow.
All the aluminum, all the lead, all the mercury, all the cadmium, all the graphene oxide too, see ya.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
I've been taking that every single day until that whole bottle was gone.
Yeah.
Every day until the bottle was gone. $200.
So it's not something you have to, I mean, this is something that everybody always asks, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, which is, okay, so when we'll be done detoxing, guys? You're never going to be done detoxing.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, we took in 25,000 toxins. Now we're taking over probably 1 million toxins a day into our system.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be detoxing, but I presume you don't have to use, or do you have to use the charcoal all the time? Like, because you just alluded, I took the whole bottle and then you took a rest.
Yeah, then I'll take a rest and then I'll switch. Maybe I'll switch to something that's a lot more gentle, like chlorella, spirulina, modified citrus pectin. You know, again, hedging my bets. Because what if, for example, modified citrus pectin, as an example, took out the microplastics, but this doesn't, you know, as an example.
Right.
And so I hedge my bets, but I know that this one here is kind of the king. It's kind of the king. And
And a
that's
bit
why I
expensive, but it's worth its weight in gold.
well, it's $200, but again, one day in the ICU is between $7,000 and $11,000. So, you know, you cannot put a price on this stuff because it's kind of like with diet. I used to be the worst dairy head. I was eating all this commercial dairy, cheese on everything, ice cream every night, you know, Hershey's chocolate syrup. It was horrible. I look back and I'm like, what are you doing? Well, look, that stuff, to get that stuff out can take years to get that stuff out of you. Okay. So it's again, pay now or pay later. And I'm not going to put a price tag on it. If I have somebody sick, if I have somebody injured from aluminum, as an example, or mercury, that was in their teeth. I mean, what kind of an industry puts mercury in somebody's teeth? Well,
Yeah.
they do. Well, I want to get that out of there. And I'm going to use the best thing that I know, and I don't care what it costs. I don't care what it costs. So I'm just telling you that that's the answer to that question. That's one thing. We could try zeolites too.
Yeah.
We could try zeolites too, and I probably would, but this one I already know works. So instead of guesswork, I'm going right to the one that
Right.
works.
Yeah, I take zeolites as well right now. So one question I want to pop back to, because it's a very interesting and different question, which is, I freeze dry my fruits and vegetables. Would be rehydrating them be equivalent to basically having those fresh fruits and vegetables?
My energy, I don't know, but my energy says no, only because I dried all the water out. See, that's the problem with enzymes. That's a problem with cooked food, period. When you cook it, you kill all the enzymes. And if you're born with a bank of enzymes, metabolic here to run the body, digestive here to digest food, if I eat cooked food my whole life and I keep pulling from my digestive enzyme bank, it keeps getting lower and lower and lower. But if I eat an apple, it comes with its own enzymes and structured water. So I still think, after studying everything like the blue zones and all the different diets, and as we age, we get drier and drier and drier. dehydrated, I still think, even if it's only 51% plant-based, if it's just 1% over, I would do that. Preferably, I'd like to work more and more towards a 70, 20, 10, 80, 10, 10. You know, I think it's, is it Doug Kaufman who had a study called 80, 10, 10? And that was his diet, mostly watery foods. And then he had a little bit of cooked. But if you do eat the cooked, which we still do, we still eat some cooked, add the enzymes to it so you can really break it down. The purpose of eating is not to hit the spot and it tastes good. The purpose of eating is to nourish the cells. Whether it's 70 trillion, 100 trillion, it's a trillion. We have, you know, most of the time they say 70 to 100 trillion cells.
Right.
The purpose of eating is to nourish the body, not because it just tastes good.
Right. Going back, and again, if this is a conversation for another time, let me know. Going back to the charcoal that you just shared a while ago. There are some forever chemicals that we know that we ingest and cause problems, and supposedly they don't come out. Does this charcoal, do you find that, yes, they do happen to help them eliminate from the body?
In this conference I just talked about, Dr. Rashid Buttar and another guy, we're talking about a certain thing that goes in the body that they don't think can ever come out. And then Dr. Group and Dr. Artis said, we think you can still get it out.
Oh, good.
One of the number one things to get it out, whatever it is going to be glutathione. Glutathione, high levels. And I think the body is so ingenious at rebuilding itself that I think if I had to pick some, I bet you glutathione with binders over time and saunas and sweating, structured water, everything we talked about, I think you could get it out. It might take a long time because the body knows not to take it out too fast and kill you. Don't run it through the kidneys and kill you. Don't run it through the liver and kill you. It'll go slower. It's like, be patient. The poison comes out a little bit by little bit by little bit.
Yeah, we're so programmed with the instantaneous fixes, guys. You got to reroute your brain. Go, no, it took me 50 years to get where I'm at. So it's going to take some time to revert that damage and to take those toxins out, plus removing the toxins you're currently taking in. It's going to give time. Have patience. It's not going to be a quick fix, and it's not going to be one thing. And a lot of time people think we just put on the patches and you're fixed. Woo! And it's
so
like,
how long, hey, how long does David say we can live? 500 years old. We got plenty of time here.
True.
But don't keep putting it back in.
By choice. So when we talk about vegetables and fruit, guys, we're not talking about conventional, organic. If you can't afford it, at least follow the EWG, the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15, but it's always best to do local, organic food sources if you can, of course, during the summertime, especially during the winter months. Cindy, once you unmute yourself, you have another question?
Yes. Okay, you can hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I have I have an ADHD brain too, so I'm working on that without taking stuff.
It's a superpower, honey. Just embrace it.
I need to. It's way, oh my God. I thought everybody intelligent had it. So anyway, thank you for saying that. So like I had a lot of fillings, so I had a lot of them taken out, but I'm thinking, so if they're gone, and I think Savvy, you answered that. So if they're gone, then our bodies naturally, it doesn't make them the effect from the mercury be instantly gone, even though they removed it because it went into our bodies and got absorbed. It's going to take time for them to be gone also. Would that be correct?
It's so dangerous to the brain, especially, that the body stores all toxins in fat and mucus, and hence there's a study by Arnold Ehret out there called the mucusless diet. And it's unfortunately most Americans end up drowning in their own mucus via pneumonia. And it's
Can I
because
pause there
the
for a
body-
minute? Can you also include what increases mucus? Because that kind of ties in with one of the questions.
Well, like I mentioned earlier with the dairy, the commercial dairy, not maybe the raw, the commercial dairy loads you with mucus, loads you. A lot of the modern day grains, the grain brain study, wheat belly study out there, the grains, sugar, highly mucus forming, and the body wraps all that stuff in mucus and then in fat. And hence a lot of people that are overweight, it's not that they're lazy and they don't want to eat the right foods. They're just full of toxins. And so, yeah, when you have these metals stored in fat tissue, even if you're thin, by the way, even if you're thin and they're stored in the fat tissue, even under the skin, you have to be careful detoxing it out, and you need the binders. And so if you go into the sauna, you heavy niacin therapy that makes you turn red and the skin turns red from the heavy niacin and all the little fat cells are popping open. I did that because I had the mercury fillings too. And I did the heavy niacin in the sauna and I broke out in a rash because the metals were released from the fat without the binders. That was the mistake.
Interesting.
So yeah, you have to go slow and you got to use the binders. You can't afford supercharged C60. Doesn't matter. Get at least activated charcoal. You can get that almost anywhere. And just take more of it.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Well, I feel great. I've lost 41 pounds. I've eaten clean. I work out like I work out. I'm 68. I go to the gym and do this one machine that you pull 200 meters. And I've had knee issues. I watch all these holistic things, and I tell everybody I'm working out like I'm a 20-year-old. I can't believe how good I feel. And it's a whole thing. Everything you said, it all goes together.
How long
That's
did it take to
amazing.
lose the 41 pounds, Cindy?
Well, I've done something called EMDR, which I'm sure you probably know what it is because I tried to get it 20 years ago. It's and so that has helped me because food was my emotional band-aid. So I was an up and down, which is horrible for your weight. So I'd say a few months, 4 months, maybe. I do a lot of intermittent fasting.
It's very good.
Yes, but I feel I will never gain it back because EMDR I love it. It's light therapy. Interesting. David
Interesting.
Schmidt, the sun, God, light therapy. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
going to find out, like, as you know, I believe David literally has come up with a whole new water never seen before.
Can't wait till that gets released.
And it will be called age reversal water, specific to tissue, even brain, lungs, etc. And that's the whole thing is we are more like the ocean. Our water is actually salty.
And just for anyone that doesn't know, EMDR is eye movement desensitization response. It teaches your right and your left brain to communicate. And you can look into it. It's the best thing ever.
What's it called, Cindy?
E for eye, movement, desensitization response. It was used for post-traumatic stress. We all have stress. We have toxic siblings, and sometimes our parents, you don't always do things, and it's healing our inner child through our right and our left brain and a light therapy. And it's been around. I tried to get it. The doctor said, oh, well, you don't have post-traumatic. And I still never gave up. And now I'm doing it with a therapist who actually uses it herself. And it's bilateral too. There's an app, bilateral app, and it helps calm you down. I rave about it. I love it, love it, love it.
Yeah. So there are many, and I'm not going against what you're saying. EMDR, I do it as well. And it's really useful. And a lot of professionals actually use, especially psychologists. You can also use EFT, which is tapping that works also the subconscious as well. There's several other different methods. Joe, somebody help me. Joe
Dispenza?
Thank you. Joe Dispenza also has a few different techniques you can do. All of them, guys, it's just what do you gravitate to that helps you reroute the synapses within your brain. All right, we have time for one more question. I'm going to call on you in a minute, Carissa, but I do want to loop back to a point that was made in the chat a while ago. They said, is whole milk, and I'm just going to presume that they're saying one that was not pasteurized, it's raw milk. Is that equivalent good, a change out for, let's say, fruits and vegetables?
I think it's like in addition to, I don't think it changes it out. There's so many different docs on the only person I really know that really pushes the raw milk. And I have to listen to him a little bit, to be honest, because Jordan Rubin works with Josh Axe, and Jordan Rubin started Garden of Life Enzymes. And that guy had the worst Crohn's disease you ever saw. Like, I mean, he looked ready to die. And it wasn't milk that healed him. It was spore biotics from the earth. So basically like eating dirt is what healed him. It was his gut, you know, Crohn's.
Yeah.
And his company, along with Josh Axe now, they do offer raw dairy. And so they have the raw milk and they have raw cheese too. So I think there's a place for it, but then you have the other side that says, why would a human drink another animal's milk, especially when humans, after they, I forget what the age is, don't produce lactase anymore, even for human milk. Right? And so it's like for this brief period of time, and then they don't need the milk anymore. So it's all in how you think about it. I stay away because I did order Jordan's raw cheese because I wanted to try. Because when I did a 10-day detox one time, 10 days, no food, only liquids, juicing, with colonics and the whole thing, heavy metal cleanse, liver cleanse, parasite, all of it, 10 days. On about day 3, I was dying from not having any food. And I'm like, oh man, the cravings. I don't know if I can do this. Well, I went in and I sliced a little piece of cheese. Now, this is commercial cheese back in the day. And I ate a little piece of that cheese. And I was like, oh man, that's like heaven. That was enough. Okay, now I'm good. I'm satisfied. I got my little fix. And they'll never know at the detox center, you know, I had a little piece of cheese. Who cares? Within an hour, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. It was like, I can't do that. I can't do dairy. It was almost like an allergic reaction. And so even with Jordan's raw cheese, same thing. So I said, no dairy for me, 0, none.
So that must be
Even
personal choice.
Even though it tastes good, but.
Right. But it doesn't take the place of the aminos that you find within fresh fruits and vegetables that are watery and the structured water. You don't get the structured water in milk products, regardless of what they are, correct?
No, I don't think so, because there's proteins in the milk that some people have problem with. I mean, there's water in the milk, true.
Right.
But it's just like blood is 98% water, but look at all the other stuff in blood.
Right.
So it's an addition to, not replacement for, not to me.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, Carissa, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hi. Thank you. Sorry, I'm in my car.
You're fine.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good? Okay. So you guys are talking about the detoxing, and I heard you say charcoal, and you were talking about the amalgams. I had my amalgams taken out over a year ago and ended up, I think they just didn't take good enough precautions, as I ended up basically unmotivated, uninspired, you know, just depressed even for a little while. And I was already going through my menopause stuff, which makes you kind of unmotivated.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I was trying to right myself. I do detox programs with my patients, so of course I'm doing it for myself. And what you had mentioned, like not detoxing too fast. And I'm finding, and I kind of want confirmation, if you will, is we are so toxic, like our air is so toxic that, and I'm sorry if I'm getting a little conspiracy, but you know, the spraying in our sky and stuff, I literally last week walked outside, my lips were burning, and within 4 days I have cold sores.
Yep,
And I
which
I
is a
do
viral load.
stuff, which is right. And it's something that I just haven't experienced it in so long. And I thought that with everything that I'm doing that I kind of rested it, and
Mhm.
now it's just come out. So my concern is doing the activated charcoal too much, or the folic acid, you know, how much is too much? Because sometimes I'm like an all or nothing,
Well, I'm
an
an all
all
or
in.
nothing kind of person.
I'm going to interject here for a minute. So Savvy, if you could take this over, I have to take care of somebody's at my door. So I'm going to be out for a few seconds. So if you could just take this over for a few seconds, I'll be right back.
Carissa, same thing happened to me.
Mhm.
I look back, back when I took my mercury out, we didn't really have any biological dentists in the valley. And I didn't know enough anyway, but the dentist I went to supposedly was the guy.
Mhm.
But as I look back,
That's my experience.
I'm 90% he did not do it correctly. Hence, he probably re-intoxicated me and my wife with the mercury.
Mhm.
And so David Wolf,
Mhm.
raw foodie
Yep, I'm
guy, David
familiar.
Wolf,
Yep.
he takes the activated charcoal every single day forever.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't think you can overdo it on the charcoal based on the chemtrails you just mentioned, which are not even a conspiracy, they're for a real thing.
I don't think it is. I just don't want to freaking, you know, like
No, I'm just
cause
saying,
a problem.
even if there's a chance, let's just say there's a chance it's
Mhm.
real, okay? The stuff that's dropping has some metals in it.
Mhm.
So there's metals in it, right? And then
Mhm.
Dr. Cowan, who we talked about earlier, Thomas Cowan and others, they don't believe that a virus is something you catch. It's not a infection, it's an outfection of the body pushing things out.
Out. Mhm.
And the virus now is an exosome pushing things out, which is
Okay.
like the special forces janitor that have to come to the rescue to push these toxins out. And then you get these viral load, herpes simplex, blah, 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 which is also a deficiency of lysine too.
Mhm.
So then we up
So
up
up
our
my
game,
level.
up our game on the lysine to
Okay.
wipe that out. And then if you know, there's some essential oils out there you can also put on there, as well as what was the other one I was just thinking about?
Well,
Oh,
I have Melrose essential
silver.
oil.
Put some colloidal silver on there.
I have colloidal silver.
Yeah, you can get it in like a gel too, and you can put it on as a gel, like a salve.
Mhm.
Dry that thing up quick and up your game on the charcoal
Okay.
or any kind of a binder, zeolites, whatever, and up the game.
Right. I have the folic and the humic acid. I have A and B.
Chlorine dioxide.
I had, yeah, exactly. The chlorine dioxide. And my concern is it's because I feel like I'm getting mixed messages from other holistic practitioners that I interact with. And that is with the charcoal on the balance of the good and bad bacteria in our gut. Is it eliminating it? And I didn't think that it would have a problem, but I'm, like I said, I'm getting mixed messages, so I'm trying to use discernment.
I haven't heard about charcoal messing up the
Impacting? Yeah.
microbiome.
Okay.
Because it's the way it is, it's kind of like a magnet for metals, mainly.
Good.
And pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, you know, even if somebody takes Tylenol,
Mm-hmm.
it's the wrapping of Tylenol has heavy metals in it. I mean, the heavy metals are like everywhere. So I haven't heard of messing up the microbiome, but if a person was worried about that, then just go to Zach Bush and get his Intelligence of Nature product. It used to be called Restore, and now it's called Ion Intelligence of Nature, and it's a mineral-based lignin, mineral-based amino acid mix that on contact repairs the glyphosate damage on the gut wall. So the leaky junctions, it tightens them back up. And then it causes this massive microbiome bloom in the gut, way better than probiotics.
This is great information. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is,
And by the
that's
way,
huge.
when you listen to Zach Bush, say you went and bought for $50 refrigerated only probiotics that were like, say they were like 15 strains and 100 billion IUs, that's only 15 strains. When you use Zach's product, it's like 30,000 strains,
Wow.
like a whole nother level. So while it's healing the gut lining, it's causing a spring bloom in the gut. So who cares if I'm
Okay.
using, I don't think charcoal, gosh, you have to really OD on charcoal, I think, to mess up the microbiome. Everybody's
Well-
microbiome's already messed up.
I think it's the conversation going full circle of different things and how it's impacting. So
Hey, let me tell you this. Let me tell you that you want to have a laugh, Carissa. When
Tell
Dr.
me.
Herman and I first started, he was working with a homeopath doctor at Dr. Karlfeld's. Well, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to out him. I'm just going to tell you there was a homeopathic doctor that thought that the light frequency patches would cause harm to the body. And he's a homeopath. He thought that they would cause harm. Another guy who's a doctor told me that you don't need a light frequency patch. The sun alone will activate your stem cells. Okay? So these guys are doctors. And don't forget some of the medical doctors out there. I don't want to name them out there, but there's some famous ones out there right now that, you know, in some circles are considered mass murderers.
right.
And they're doctors. So,
Right. Yeah.
you know, sometimes it's what resonates with you, right? That frequency, energy on,
Mm-hmm.
if that resonates with you, or
Mhm.
sometimes you're like, that seems funky to me, you know?
Right.
You almost have to trust your energy.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, and it just, but they made me cautious, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll,
Well, they'll scare you. If you go to
Yeah.
the medical doctors, you know, I
mm-hmm.
always say MD stands for money for drugs. That's why it's MD, money for drugs. But you go to those guys and they will scare you out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Suzanne Summers did a whole chapter with David, right? David.
Yep.
David Schmidt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Suzanne Summers, after she healed from breast, you know what, thought she got it again. And she went back to the hospital, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doctors told her she was full of you know what, the C word. And even Suzanne Summers, after writing 12 books, they started to convince her, and she was getting scared that she had you know what again. They scared her. And her own daughter, using a laptop in the hospital room, figured out that it was a fungus from digging in the dirt in New Mexico looking for dinosaur artifacts. It was a fungus, and she cured it at home by herself.
Jeez.
Great
True
story.
story,
Yeah.
Suzanne Summers.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you so
yeah.
much, Carissa.
Hey,
so much
thank
for your
you.
question.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Cindy, unless it's really quick, we need to close this down because we've kept Savvy almost a whole hour.
Yes,
I mean,
Savvy,
actually,
I'll make it very fast. I suffered with gut health. I have colitis. It's in remission. I met a scientist who told me about this. It's a light. You probably can't see it. I'm holding it wrong, but it's to get your gut back to normal, like a baby, because babies' guts are normal, just like diaphragmatic breathing. I will tell you, it did help me, but now because of my change of diet and everything, I don't even need my colitis is, they call it in remission. I hate that word, but it's
Put
dormant.
it back up, Cindy. Natron, let me see it again. I want to share this with my daughter-in-law.
Turn it around a little bit.
Sorry, there.
Turn it around more.
Natron. What is it? Life Start? I'm gonna look into that for my,
You have to keep it cold. You have to, and you pay extra because it has to be kept cold, but it made a difference for me. But I don't take any medication now for my colitis. It's dormant because I changed everything, but this thing really helps. It's not cheap again because it's good.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to be talking so
well,
much.
hey, you know what? They have, look what it cost them to produce the product. That's why what we have with the patches is the best deal ever. I mean, look at the price of what we have. People on government assistance could use our patches. It's the best deal ever. And so don't let anybody ever tell you the patches don't work. Unless you're dead and there's no light coming out of you, the patches work. And in fact, there was a lady, if you remember, that looked like she resurrected a dead chicken with a patch. So maybe it even works if you're dead for only a couple of minutes. You remember that, Wendy? She
No,
patched
I
her
don't.
chicken.
It's the first time I've heard of this. This is great.
Look it up. There's a lady came home, her chicken looked like it was dead. And it did look dead. And she patched it in like 2 hours, it's up eating seed again.
My Lord, that is amazing. I gotta
So
find
unless
that
you're
now.
dead, the patch works, but maybe your diet doesn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
your toxins are here and your nutrients are here. Flip that and everything goes away. The body heals everything, at once. Maybe your liver is more important than your bad knee, and that's the way the patch works. It has a pecking order, because you can limp around, but you're not going to live long without the liver or the kidneys. So yeah, there's a pecking order, but when the body heals, it kind of heals everything, regardless of what they call it.
Right. So to recap, everybody, this conversation was about those who are already using the patches. Do you feel comfortable? Are they capable financially to definitely invest in amino acids, multi-minerals, and perhaps activated charcoal? Great. And, definitely instruct that. More water, activated water, which means what? More watery fruits and vegetables in the diet. If you're meat eater, great, but just bring down that meat down to a minimum and make your fruits and vegetables the maximum.
Yeah, it's called subtraction by addition. Just keep adding in more of the live food, live body, the watery stuff, because otherwise, as we age, we dry up.
Yeah. And then also preventive. So Savvy also went into, preventing different 5G radiation from our devices, et cetera, et cetera. And he shared that website as well.
Dr.
I will try my, I beg your pardon? Dr. Court.
K-O-R-T, look him up.
Okay. And I will try my best to share all these websites going through this webinar, but I may not hit it all because that's going through another hour and a half or more than that. God, Savvy, thank you so much for what you did. So your presence is highly requested to do this more often. So perhaps we'll talk and maybe I'll get you in here as more often. I know you're very busy just the same. So really, thank you for your knowledge and for your heart. Thank you for being here.
Oh yeah, we're a family, Wendy.
Most definitely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on the personal development training. Next Tuesday, we train on how do you set up, create, invite when it comes to patching parties and or events. So that's going to be our next Tuesday's training with our very own April and my good friend Gloria. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Oh, Savvy's got one more thing to say. Go for it, Savvy.
Only because I saw in the chat, and this is important because I did this for my wife. Do you guys know who Christiane Northrup is? Dr. Northrup. She's written about 16 books. She's an expert on women's health.
Yes, it's amazing.
She was a medical doctor, flipped. She is with us in the patches, by the way. She's sort of under the radar, but to have her is a real feather in the cap. And I was fortunate enough to have a little private one-on-one with her a month or so back. For these women, postmenopausal, premenopausal, whatever, she's got a couple of plant-based products, plant-based. I think it was out of Brazil. or Ecuador. I think it's Ecuador. That will turn your life around hormone-wise, along with our spray. That's plant-based 100%. Look it up. I got my wife doing it. Look up Dr. Northrup's site. My wife's doing it. She told me just this morning this stuff's working. Just to let you know. Okay. So
And,
Dr. Christian
And
Northrup.
Savvy, I could put her contact. Beth is who you would contact.
Well, you could just go to her website too, Midge.
Okay.
I don't want to out Northrup and then she hates me because
Yeah, be
everybody see what I'm
careful.
saying? I mean, let's just go to her website. Right now I'm on good terms. I want to keep it that way.
Exactly. We want to keep her liking us very much.
Yes.
All right.
What's
So
the
maybe
website?
I'm sorry.
What's that website?
Just look up Catherine Northrup.
Thank you.
Christina.
Dr. Northrup, MD. Okay. All right,
Okay.
everybody.
All right. Everybody have yourself a one fantastic week, and we will see you this evening, 6 o'clock for a Patching podcast. Take care.
All right. See you soon.
Great call. Thank you.